Okay, everybody, this is really weird, but I've had a lot of people ask me why we decided to go with Homey, and I was actually kind of surprised. 2 years ago, I did a commercial for them. A lot of you guys know that. I worked on it with James, um, and this year, when we decided to sell our home, I spent about a year in my new job trying to figure out how I'm going to sell my home. And frankly, I was surprised that I had so many people that were like, "Why are you going to do this?" And we also have a lot of good, smart friends that are good agents, good qualified agents. And I think a great agent can do really wonderful things for you when you sell your home. But I want to tell you why we chose Homey and why it was right for us. I'm going to show some numbers, and I don't know, maybe it's right for you. Just as a caveat, I am not currently working for Homey. I'd love to do some work for Homey. I'm not currently employed from. This is just my video and why we decided to sell our home using Homey. Okay, so here's some of the numbers. How do they look? I wrote them backwards so that you guys could read them. 15 years ago, I bought my home for $165,000, which is a great deal at the time. I'd love to buy a house now for that. But over the past 15 years, I put a lot of work into the home. We did a furnace and new windows and repainted and redid floors, and I redid the kitchen twice and bathrooms twice, several times. Anyway, since I started my new job, we started looking at home prices. I've looked on Zillow and Homey and the MLS and UtahRealEstate.com and Redfin, and I was kind of watching what home values were doing in our neighborhood. And one thing was really clear. In our neighborhood, most of the homes were built in 1965, and the homes that had been left as is, that were in pristine condition and been well taken care of, were selling for right around $315,000. But there was a few homes, and more, maybe some as high as $330,000. There's a few homes where they had really done a great job flipping and remodeling the whole house, and those homes sold for $400,000. So I showed the home to a couple of real estate friends. I asked a lot of people's advice, and a lot of people said, just sell it as it is. Maybe you could ask for $330,000, $340,000, and see if you get lucky. The market's hot, people will want to buy it. And I did the math, and I thought, if I could put $50,000 into my home, if I could get a home equity out, then I could sell it for $400,000 and make $35,000. And that's significant. I don't have a lot of other investments in my life. I thought this will help us get into a much nicer home. So that's what we did. We decided to put $50,000 into it. And a lot of the agents that we talked to recommended that we didn't put money into it. And when you do the math, I would have spent, at this rate, about, if we'd sold our home for $400,000, we would have spent about $24,000 if we paid 6% on that purchase, which would have wiped away most of this profit, would have left us with about $11,000. And that's a lot of risk for $11,000 in my mind. So we started work. We spent the whole summer. Maylee was a champ. She cooked outside in the backyard. We packed all of our belongings. And our amazing contractor, Phil Babcock, did some amazing work. A lot of our day workers were amazing tilers and did some really beautiful stuff. I hope you've seen the pictures of our old house. It looked gorgeous. Well, we also uncovered a few things that had to be fixed, and we ended up going about $20,000 over what we thought we were going to spend. So this profit margin got a lot skinnier, but there was still something to be had there, whereas if we'd gone with an agent, there wasn't. So we kind of doubled down at that point, thought, well, let's see what there is to this Homey thing. We paid for an appraisal before we even listed. With Homey, you get a comparative market analysis where they compare it to homes in the area. Both our appraisal and the comparative market analysis said our home was now worth about $400,000. So we weren't going to make the money that we thought, but it was still going to be profitable for us. We thought, well, I think this is a little bit nicer than some of the other homes that we've seen. Let's list it for more. So we did. We listed it for $415,000. We talked to our Homey agent, who was Rebecca. She was fantastic. Homey not only assigned us a listing agent, we also had a showing agent. The process has changed, but we did have a person who was doing work for us. Once we signed up, they sent the sign, the lockbox, and a photographer. I filled out my form on a Saturday. Monday, they came to take pictures. I don't know if this is typical, but by Tuesday, we had all of our pictures. They were gorgeous, made the house look amazing. So we clicked all the pictures we want, wrote our little description, and by Wednesday, we got the pictures by Tuesday. By Wednesday, I pushed it live, and all I did is I made one Facebook post. I tagged everybody who had ever lived there, all my friends in it, to share with them the listing. We decided in the end to list it for $415, but we were really hoping, gosh, we could really make our money if we made closer to this. So let me show you what ended up happening. And like I said, this may not be typical because we really fixed it up and made it nice. And one of the keys is we paid for a home stager to come and consult with us while we were doing our work. And she told us, spend money here, don't spend money there. That was Nicole Bateman camping out, and she was fantastic. It was the best $200 we spent in the process. So we paid our money to our contractors. They were there working with us every single day, and they were worth every dollar that we paid them. We paid our stager $200, and she was with us and gave us the work that she was totally worth. So this is what ended up happening. We posted it on Facebook. That day we had, my handwriting's not that great when it's backwards. That day we had 8 visits, but in the next 3 days we did 27 showings. So Saturday we just had an open house. We canceled our house cleaner because we had so many people coming through. We were double booking them. And lots of agents were giving us grief for using Homey, saying they would have priced it differently. But we had had both an appraiser come through and a comparative market analysis, the exact same things, which we had done before we fixed up the house, and they were lower. And they were all coming in at $400,000. And that was the issue. We knew that they wouldn't be able to get finance for much more than that. But by Sunday, we had 12 offers over our asking price. Talking with our agent, we said, let's just hold off making an answer. We don't say we're gonna accept. We're just gonna hold off giving anybody an answer until Sunday. We were overwhelmed, but the Homey app was fantastic. Had all of our offers just listed side by side. We could go through them, see what they offered, see what the differences were. And as we looked at our offers, the top offer was a little bit more than $435, but 4 out of the 5 offers were Homey deals. Oop, spelled Homey the right way, so it doesn't look. 4 out of our top 5 offers were Homey deals. And we looked at that made a $13,000 difference. So the 5th deal was actually our 2nd highest offer. We were actually gonna make less money because we were gonna have to pay that agent. So our top buyer was a Homey buyer. So we were able to sell to them. What that means is, let me pull this over here just a little bit. If we had paid both our buyers, we offered a buyer's commission to any buyer's agent, which is 3%. With Homey, you can choose to offer that or not offer that or make a different one. We offered 3%, but since we sold it to a Homey buyer, that saved us $26,000 if they had had a 3%, both had had a 3% commission. In the end, what we actually paid Homey was $2,598, and I added an extra $200 that I paid for the home stager, which is interesting. It was about 1/10. So you might say, oh, the moral of the story is that we saved $29,000. But I want to point out that whether I had sold the home at $165, $315, $400, or $435, we would have paid Homey the same amount, and they would have done the same amount of work. But your agent would have done the same amount of work, but they would have made you pay a percentage of the work that we had done. And like I said, agents are really knowledgeable, and if you've got a sticky situation and they really understand it, I don't mean to disparage them, but I think the system's just a little bit broken. In the end, it made the difference. If we had sold the home at $315 and paid the agent fees, we would have had $300,000 towards our new home. Instead, we had $430,000 put towards a new home. Homey, so we decided to buy with Homey and finance through Homey. That added an additional $5,000, which gave us $435,000 to put down on a new home. That's why, yes, we saved $26,000 in agent fees, but if we hadn't fixed up the house because we were going to have to give away this money to the agent, we wouldn't have been able to improve it. We did that work. Whether we had sold it here or here or here, no matter how much work we were going to do, an agent was going to take our percentage of the work. So we went with Homey, not just because it was cheaper, but we had a buyer's agent, then we had a seller's agent on both sides of the transaction. Then when we went to go buy the home, we didn't have to sign a new home. We didn't have to sign a 6-month contract. We just signed, we just used the app, and we'd find a home we'd like and we'd click go see it. Turns out a good friend of mine was a showing agent, Steve Seipert. He showed us a lot of homes, but we did a lot of research online, and whether you have an agent or don't, you're gonna do a lot of your own research online. He opened the door, he helped educate us on price per square foot and neighborhoods and what they were worth. But then we had a separate buying agent that helped us work through the contracts, and we closed roughly a month and 2 weeks after we closed on our new house, roughly a month and a half after we first listed our house. We sold it and bought our new home. But that's why it made the difference. It wasn't just the $26,000. It made the difference between able to buy a house in this neighborhood versus buying a home in this neighborhood. So that's why we have gone with Homey. We did a little bit ourselves. I did one Facebook post. I had to make some decisions about what to do, but each of the way we had people that we paid for what they did, not for the work that we did. We paid them for the work that they did, which was fair. To list our home, it only started at $299 to start. We paid the rest at closing. If you're interested in trying Homey, try the listing fee. If it doesn't work out, you can always switch to a traditional agent if you don't get more showings. I found just by using social media myself and pushing it out there, we were able to get a lot of viewings. You know, it may not be for everybody, but I think it's a pretty significant advantage and a pretty significant deal. If you have any questions about what I liked or about my math here, because like I said, I had to draw it all backwards, feel free to post in the comments or reach out to me personally. But I've had a fantastic experience. I really hope, if it's not Homey, something like them spreads in the country, because I think that a good real estate agent can offer a lot, but I think something about the system is fundamentally broken, where they can take a percentage of what I built, where we spent all summer building and investing and working in, and they could make more than my contractor who was there every day slaving, when on average they might spend 8 to 10 hours selling a home. And I had great help from Rebecca, my selling agent, to Steve, my showing agent, all the way through the process. So anyway, that's my 2 bits. If you're interested in Homey, check it out at homey.com.